So November is just about over, and we're just out today making sure that our equipment is still in working order. There were a couple shots fired across the office from our bow rigs, and we just want to make sure, after dragging these things through the woods for 3 or 4 weeks, that everything is still on point. But while we're doing that, we're staying outside talking about December. And as you guys have followed our content in the past, we've been trying to do a trail camera checklist for every month to kind of keep you guys ahead of the game. So as we're sitting here, we're talking about December trail camera strategies, our December trail camera checklists, and we thought we might as well just shoot the video and get it out to you guys. So one of the things when it comes to December that I think a lot of guys and a lot of people really forget about is unbred does. A lot of people think that does are only getting bred through November, and then once Thanksgiving comes and that gun season rolls in, that deer are 100% back to bed to food patterns on late season sources, and that a lot of that's true, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But the first point or trail camera strategy we want to mention is leaving some of those cameras in doe bedding areas and on primary scrapes to monitor any does coming back into heat, or specifically any yearling does that are now becoming 90 pounds or 80 pounds or whatever that number is, where they become sexually mature enough to breed. You still want to be able to monitor the breeding activity around those doe family groups. So that's super important. It's something that we've seen a lot in the big woods, and specifically I guess in low deer density areas where bucks really have to travel a long ways to find does. There aren't a lot of does to be bred, and quite frankly a lot of them don't get bred in November, and that rolls back into December, and then occasionally you have a fawn that pops up, finally hits 90 pounds around Christmas, and then there's 3 days of solid action. So that's one of the strategies we want you guys to think about, are those does that have not come or have come into estrus and not gotten bred and coming back into estrus, and specifically those fawns reaching sexual maturity and coming into estrus. So if you have any cellular trail cameras and you still have a tag in your pocket, the information there is going to be ultra time sensitive. Those bucks will come in, they'll hole up with those does for 48 hours or 3 days, two or 3 days, and then they're moving on back to their bed to food pattern, or moving on to search for another doe. So if you have any cellular trail cameras, be sure that you're still monitoring some of those doe bedding areas and the primary scrapes. So moving on to more traditional late season December type tactics with trail cameras. One of the other points we want to mention is displaced bucks, displaced deer. Across the country, most of our gun seasons are going to come in that beginning part of December, or maybe right after Thanksgiving, or maybe it's a 2-week season and it starts in Thanksgiving and rolls into December. Monitoring these thick cover bedding areas, specifically if you're on small private chunks and the pressure is going to be coming from your neighbor's parcel or from the neighbor's parcel. A lot of times you'll have deer move into your areas and remain there for a week. I know that we have a small 20-acre piece at my dad's house that is specifically open timber, and it doesn't hold a lot of deer through the season. You'll get a lot of nighttime activity, a lot of summer activity because of those open hardwoods, and then a lot of night activity because of those open hardwoods. But one thing that I have personally noticed is once that pressure comes up, and we don't typically hunt that property, so there's relatively zero pressure there. One thing that I've specifically noticed is when that gun season rolls in, after that first and second day, we will start to have resident deer there until that pressure subsides to the better habitat. So if you're in one of those areas, after that first, second day of gun season, don't be afraid to hunt some of that habitat that is less than superb for whitetails. So the third trail camera point we want to make about December, and really it's geared towards late season, is probably what everyone already knows. After the rut, going into these cold temps, food is going to be everything through December into January and through the winter. So any late season food sources you have, ideally that's where you're going to turn your attention. And again, on these food sources, on these less intrusive areas, we're going to be running regular standard SD card cameras. So that could be a standing ag field that did not get harvested, could be a specific food plot, it could be a stand of red oaks. So, and if you don't know what a red oak is, we did a great video identifying the difference between white oaks and red oaks. But northern red oaks, pin oaks specifically, are going to hold their acorns a little bit longer. They have more tannic acid levels in those acorns that make them less desirable. So deer are on white oak acorns earlier in the season, and those red oak acorns are going to become a better food source later in the season. So if you have any of those oak flats or hard mass bearing trees on your property, now is the time to be running trail cameras on them, because those food sources, as they shift, you'll notice an increase of sign and an increase of deer activity around those red oak stands. So the fourth point in this trail camera checklist video we want to talk about is wind speed, and it's not necessarily trail camera placement. It's more of hunting timing and hunting strategy. But you know, Jeff Sturgis has a fabulous weather algorithm that he's teamed up with HuntWise and made that on a mobile app, and we've really followed that a lot over the years. I personally really believe in a lot of the concepts Jeff comes up with. I think he's one of the best whitetail guys in the United States. But one thing that Jeff has talked about in the past has been wind speeds. And last year, running a large number of cellular trail cameras and seeing that information come over in real time, an increase of wind speeds that is, I'm going to say 10, 12 miles an hour over what is normal in your area, we saw a dramatic decrease in deer movement. Now, if you're in Kansas and you have a 20 mile an hour wind, that's pretty typical there. If we're in Northeast Ohio and we have a 20 mile an hour wind, it's going to shut deer movement down, because that's way over and above what we typically see here. Typically, we're 5 to 10 mile an hour is kind of a typical wind speed here. So as you have that double-digit increase in deer movement, or in wind speed, it's going to drop deer movement. It's going to shut them down, specifically in the late season, because of the thermal protection and thermal value that these deer need to survive. They're not going to expose themselves to those harsh elements and basically have the energy sucked out of their bodies. It's putting them at risk of not making it through the winter. So as you're monitoring higher wind speed days or weather fronts that are moving in, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be a weather front, but specifically the wind speed, as that wind speed dies down, that is when the deer movement will be on fire. That's when it's going to pick up, and that's the time you should be on stand in these camera locations to catch deer going to food, from bed to food. And again, December in the late season, deer are going to be more on a bed to food pattern, more patternable outside of November. So guys, we hope this video helps. If you have any comments or questions on any of the things that we covered here, specifically wind speed, I want to hear your thoughts and what you guys have seen in the timber in regards to wind speeds and relating specifically to big buck movement. As always, we're humbled by the support. We love all the thumbs up, and of course, we love all the subs. And if you haven't subbed to the channel, be sure to smash that subscribe button. Everything we do, we're trying to put out high value content for you guys, to not to boost our channel, but to help you guys in the season be better with trail cameras, be better hunters, be better at scouting, be better with maps, and all around to be a better deer hunter. So good luck the rest of the season, and enjoy your time in the woods. If you guys find some value in this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and smash that subscribe button for us.